1553, Catherine of Aragon, Mary's mother, she ends up passing away. Now, at the time, it was like a very mysterious death, and there were rumors swirling around that King Henry and Anne were both thrilled. Like, they were just loved the idea that she was dead. So once Catherine had passed away, that's when Anne decided, you know, I'm going to try and like make things right with Mary, make some peace, make her like me. So she attempted to do so, but Mary just wasn't having it, okay? Let me tell you. Because there were rumors going around that Catherine, her mother, may have been So it was later determined that Catherine most likely died from cancer of the heart. The doctors at the time had no idea what caused her death, which is what led to speculations. Because of this, it led to Mary wanting nothing to do with the king and his. So in 1881, Belle decided she was going to move to the United States in search for wealth, money. So Belle moves to Illinois, and while she's there, she meets a Swedish man, and his name is Mads Albert Sorensen, and she decides to get married to him. So they do. So the two of them open up a candy store, and they both manage and work it. It seemed to be doing okay because it had only been open for a couple of months, and then it got really slow. Anywho, so one night though, a couple months after this candy store had opened, at night, a fire breaks out. The candy store is completely burned down. Belle is like, thank God. And because this fire seemed like random and they thought it was a little, I don't know, a little fishy, the insurance officials, they decided to investigate and find what the cause of the fire was. While insurance officials were looking for what caused the fire, they didn't really have any luck finding anything. So they were like, okay, well, it must have just been an accident. And they paid Mads. Candy store is completely burned down. Belle is like, thank God. And because this fire seemed like random and they thought it was a little, I don't know, a little fishy, the insurance officials, they decided to investigate and find what the cause of the fire was. While insurance officials were looking for what caused the fire, they didn't really have any luck finding anything. So they were like, okay, well, it must have just been an accident. And they paid Mads and Belle their insurance claim. Now, during this time, right after Belle and Mads got married, Mads had purchased 2 life insurance policies. One was about to expire, and the second one he purchased was going to be the one that continued on forward. But for like 2 days, the 2 insurance policies were both active, if that makes sense, at the same time. Anyways, so, well, guess who dies? Yeah, it's Mads. He ends up dying on a day when both of his policies are active. Belle was questioned, obviously, like what happened? And Belle said that Mads had come home from work and that he had a really bad headache. Belle ended up giving him some quinine powder for the pain. And then Belle said when she came back into the room to check on him, he wasn't breathing. He was dead. Now, it would be ruled that Mads had died from heart failure, but his relatives were like, no, there is no way he died of heart failure. They truly believed that he, Mads, was poisoned. Now, they go and they do a little bit of digging, and they see that Belle was able to collect 2 life insurance policies on Mad, but they see that Belle had collected $8,000, and she collected it the day or so after his death. Like, it was pretty quick. She went right for the money. So the family, they had asked for Mad's body to be exhumed because they wanted to see what really caused his death. Now, for reasons unknown, so the family, they had asked for Mad's body to be exhumed because they wanted to see what really caused his death. Now, for reasons unknown, this never happened. His body was not exhumed. Then, because Belle seems to have the worst luck ever, Belle's home that she shared with Mads, it burned down. It burned down. Now, for good reason, the insurance company is like, okay, Belle, what is going on? So they come out and they do an investigation. What caused the fire? Was the set intentionally? But they found no proof of fraud. So the insurance company followed through paying out her insurance claim. So Belle just got money for her husband dying, the candy store burning down, and her home burning down. So Belle decided to move, and she ended up going about 6 miles from La Porte, Indiana. Anyway, so she purchases a farm out there. You know, she comes from the upbringing, her childhood. there. She comes from the upbringing, her childhood. She knows how a farm goes. Her parents had one. She worked on it. She thought, okay, this would be a great way to like make some money. Now, while out there in Indiana, Belle would meet another man. His name was Peter Gaines, just a few months after buying the farm. And in 1904, Belle and her husband Peter were working together at their new store that they opened up. It was a local market where they would sell meat, market stuff. Now, same thing. After some time, sales just really weren't doing that great. One day, Peter and Belle were working together at the store, at the market, and it was just a normal day, no big deal. Peter was organizing a shelf, putting it all together, and somehow a meat grinder that was on this shelf, it somehow moved due to him trying to like balance it or something. She doesn't know. Belle doesn't know, but it moved and it fell off of the shelf, falls onto Peter's head. It crushes his head, crushes his skull, quote, thus ending his existence, end quote. Now, since they didn't have any proof or any really reason to question this, Belle's statement was accepted as true and his death was ruled as an accident. Now, it's said at the time of Peter's death, Belle and Peter, they had 3 small children together named Philip, Myrtle, and Lucy. The couple, they also had an adopted daughter, and her name was Jenny Olson. And Jenny was 14 years old at this time. So technically they had 4 kids. Belle continues now without her husband. She's taking care of the children all by herself, which must be very difficult. And then she's also trying to manage this store that she still has and this farm. She's got a lot on her plate. September of 1906, Jenny goes missing. Neighbors and locals, September of 1906, Jenny goes missing. Neighbors and locals, they hadn't seen Jenny in weeks, and they thought, well, that's really strange. Like, we normally see Jenny almost every day. This would end up being brought up to authorities. Police, they go out to Belle's farm and they question her, like, hey, your neighbors and stuff haven't seen Jenny. Is she here? Can we see her? Can we talk to her? Belle tells police that Jenny was sent to Los Angeles to finish her education out in California. It was said that Belle was not only intimidating, the way that she said things was very confident and stern to the point where you didn't question it. So as time went on, Belle was feeling a little lonely, and she also just really needed help around her farm and her home. Belle put out an ad that said, quote, personal dash line, comely widow who owns a large farm in one of the finest districts in LaPorte County, Indiana, desires to make acquaintance of a gentleman equally well provided, with view of joining fortunes. No replies by letter considered, unless sender is willing to follow answer with personal visit. End quote. May 1907, a man named Ole B. Budsberg, he was an elderly widower, and he was staying in Wisconsin, and he saw this advertisement Belle had put out. He had 2 grown-up sons, 2 adult sons. They were moved out on their own, doing their own thing, you know? So this man decided, like, I'm just not going to involve them. I'm not going to tell them because they'll talk me out of it. You know how that goes. So one evening, Ole Budsberg, he left his home in Wisconsin and headed out to Belle's farm. Sadly, he was never seen again. He never returned. Sadly, he was never seen again. He never returned. Nobody saw him again. The end. So another man named Andrew, and he was living in South Dakota, but he also saw Belle's advertisement. He was also communicating with her as well. Belle was keeping her options open, which is fine. I'm not judging. So Andrew was writing Belle letters, and he decided before going out there to see her, he wanted to like get to know her a little bit more. The more that they talked, the more that Belle was trying to convince Andrew to come out there and to live with her, stay at the farm, and open up a business out there with her. So Andrew decided to head out to Belle's farm in January of 1908. Andrew headed out there and he moved in with Belle. And then he was there for about 2 weeks when Belle had asked him to go with her over to the savings bank in La Porte and get a $3,000 loan for Andrew so that he could open up his own business. And the bank would send that money through the mail as a check. So Belle and Andrew go back to their farm and they wait for the check to come. Now, Belle had her eyes on that mailbox, okay? She was able to get her hands on the check before Andrew even saw it. So then a few days later, Andrew disappears. I know. Andrew's brother, he hadn't heard from him in weeks, and normally he would get letters from Andrew. So the brother then writes Belle and asks, do you know where my brother is at? I haven't heard from him, and he's not responding to my letters. Belle tells Andrew's brother, hey, you should come out to my farm so that you can help me do like an extensive search around the farm looking for Andrew or looking for any clues. She is inviting Andrew's brother over. Don't go, it's a trap. Well, let me tell you. Now that same day, April 28th, 1908, at about 3 a.m., Belle, her home was burned to the ground. Again, it's not funny. Belle, her home was burned to the ground. Again, it's not funny because this time a lot of people died. So when investigators got a call about, this fire that happened and the house burned down, they went out there to investigate. They go and they look at the home and they see like the charred remains of a woman and 3 children. They were found inside the burned home. They took a closer look at the children's remains and they concluded that they were the remains of Belle's children. They also find the remains of a woman. Investigators assume that this is Belle because, it's her kids, and the woman kind of resembled Belle, so they assumed she had died along with the children. Upon further inspection, they see that the head had been chopped off. Belle's head is removed. What the hell? And because of that, it led to some questions like, who is this? Is this really Belle? And if it was Belle, somebody was angry. And they come across this man named Ray, and Ray at one time had worked on the farm with Belle. But Ray would go on to say that he had a lot of dirt on Belle. He would also tell Belle that one day he was going to expose her. Investigators